When I was small and Christmas trees were tall, the world, well, it was just a different place. Back then, no one was offended by Christmas. No one was offended, and not many were offensive. We'll have more on that soon. Hello, I'm Mike Bain from Christian Voice, New Zealand. You know, I grew up in what was a small town on the Taieri Plains, just south of Dunedin. Its population was about 2,000 people, and down the road where we lived, the tar seal on the road just stopped just before our place. The footpaths were dust tracks, and the drainage, well, that was a big channel down the side of the road. Like I said, it was small town New Zealand, where everybody knew who you were and what your parents were. I say what and who because my dad, while not the town drunk, was like a lot of other men who, of that era, would join up with the daily 6 o'clock swill before the bars closed for the day. He'd then come home full of, well, alcohol, and Mum and Dad would have their nightly disagreement. And later the cops would arrive to sort it out or take Dad down to the station for a night to sober up. Really, it was no different to many homes of the era. But that's not what defined us as a family. It was a uniform we as kids were forced to wear, which made us stand out as being different. You see, we attended the local Catholic school. It was my dad who was Catholic. Mum wasn't, but Dad promised the priest at the time of their marriage that we would grow up as Catholic, attend the Catholic school and go to Mass every Sunday. You know the drill. Being different, standing out, made life hell on earth as the school was on the other side of town. And to get there we had to walk past a couple of state-run schools. And I can still remember the taunting from some of the kids when we passed by. They would sing this derogatory ditty: "Catholic dogs stink like frogs in their mother's bathing togs." Thing is, the singing didn't worry me. It was the abuse, the bullying, and the beatings that we took for being different. Now, I was used to violence, degradation, being the butt of someone else's prejudice. So when later in life I was called a redneck by a woman I was having this conversation with regarding homosexuality. Now, obviously I was disagreeing with her stance, which was making her, well, angry. When she told me I was a redneck and homophobic, which was it, I decided to question the description she was calling me. Now, to call me homophobic meant nothing, as I examined my own conscience and I decided I had no phobias towards those who practice sodomy. Today we have so many people, though, attempting to cause divisions in our society. Look, I don't know about you, but I'm really struggling to keep up with who is who. And should I be opposed to this or agree with that? Now, a couple of years ago, Green MP Chloe Swarbrick used the word boomer when referring to Nationals' Todd Muller when they were debating in Parliament. Now, to be fair, boomer is a term which refers to my generation, but in the heat of the debate, to use the term in Parliament was wrong. It was disrespectful. You see, insults and name-calling are okay in certain places and venues, but Parliament just isn't one of them. Being a part of that boomer generation, you know, we never went home and cried on anyone's shoulder about being told that we were dogs. We had stunk like mum's bathing togs because we'd get no sympathy. It would be toughen up, or sticks and stones may break your bones and names will never hurt you. And yet today, several generations on, we're so easily offended. Today's culture is full of hate, and when I say hate, I mean hate. Back in my day, it was okay to call a Maori a Maori. Many had nicknames like Darky, and they were acceptable to the people at the time. It was a name. There was never any ill feeling about it. Other kids were called Sonny, Sonny Jim, Shorty, Lanky, Fatty, Skinny. Look, no one cared, but today's generation get off their precious bikes and they start wringing their hands saying, we're degrading them, we're being hurtful to whom we're directing the name to. Now, we referred to one of the greatest of all-time singers, Frank Sinatra, as Old Blue Eyes, and the group of singers as the Rat Pack. No one in Hollywood took offence. You probably have. Everyone has a friend who's referred to by another name. Just get a group of guys who've been together on a fishing charter and see who doesn't come off the boat without a new name. So what's this all about? Is it about being bullied? Is it about name-calling or even being degraded? Well, it's none of those. It's about understanding and an acceptance of our own prejudices. Try not to look so stunned. We all have them. Today, like yesterday, we're all suffering some form of persecution, even here in New Zealand. And the thing is, we're all guilty of some type of persecution or prejudice. Don't believe me? Let me ask you, did you laugh when the Indians landed on the moon? And someone suggested that they were looking for a new site for a corner dairy. Or even laugh at this meme. Maybe there was some other group where a joke was made about maybe a different group of people, and they laughed. Or were you guilty of being the storyteller? You know, we all have unconscious bias towards other people, other groups. Some, unlike in my day, were loud about it, while others will just quietly agree. The current situation in the Middle East is an interesting one. On both sides you have people who want the same thing, a place to call home, and the problem is they both want the same thing, but have you noticed how nuts people are becoming about it? Yes, I'm a Christian and I have a love for Israel. Equally, I'm a Christian who has a love for people, regardless of whether they're different. And I admit I'm torn over the Palestinian-Israeli predicament, where one man's freedom fighter is a terrorist to another man, and vice versa, depending on which side you're on and how it affects you. Look, yes, I was tormented as a child daily for daring to be different. Many young people today are still being tormented for being different, but instead of using sticks and stones, rifles, grenades, rockets and tanks, we use something more potent, more devastating. We use the smallest muscle that we have, and that, my friends, is our tongue. I have to say it, but the way we use our tongues needs to be reined in big time. Words are easy to say. Words are directed like arrows. They're hard to take back. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words used to express hatred, incite violence, to divide race, to cause harm, they all hurt. They always have. In the Bible book of James, we read that everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Many today are angry. You know, they're angry with the government. They're angry with the world, angry with themselves, and they need to vent their anger, and they do. Many are quick to be angered, and we can rightly be so, but then there are just those who are just plain angry, but it can't explain why. Now, the kids from the state schools who referred to us as Catholic dogs didn't understand why they persecuted us, but they did it as they mirrored prejudice of generations before them. It didn't affect me as I grew older. Instead, it made me stronger, more resilient in life for those who disagree with my viewpoint. Jesus himself was subjected to racial discrimination, to hatred, to abuse, to violence, rejected by those closest to him, by his mates. And when all seemed lost, he uttered the words, "Forgive them, Father. Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they've done." The Middle East situation, Palestine or Israel, I prefer not to take sides because I can see both sides. The Australian One Voice, I can see both sides. New Zealand's race issues, I can see both sides. Can I see a solution? Not really, but just one. We should all learn to live with each other. I know it's easier said than done, but the words from Proverbs 11 will help us going forward. Whoever derides their neighbour has no sense, but the one who has understanding holds their tongue. Understanding who we are, understanding why we're here, understanding why your brother is here, and understanding who God is will help us to live according to his will and purpose for our lives. It'll enable us to appreciate his love, grace and mercy towards us. Understanding who God is will inspire us to worship him in spirit and truth and to share the gospel with others.